Hi and welcome again to our next game in the Malaya campaign of Chain of Command that I'm playing. This is scenario number 2. You may remember, you may not have seen it, the previous video the Japanese took an absolute hammering at the hands of the Australian defenders. So what they've done is they've replaced their old platoon, which lost about a quarter of its strength, with a brand new fresh platoon that's come in. I'll show you the forces in a second, but they're basically fighting over pretty much exactly the same table because the Japanese were unable to push through the Australian defences last time. So they're going to have another crack at it. As I said, this is scenario 2. The Australians are holding the line, but they have taken casualties, so we'll see how that affects their gameplay this turn. What I'll do now is, there's probably not a great deal more to tell you. This is going to be set up exactly the same as the previous game with the figures and things. I am going to make rule mistakes throughout this game. You know, I don't care. Enjoy the game for the narrative. Enjoy it for the fun that I'm having while I'm playing it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I enjoy it. And let's just have a look at some of these forces, and then I'll show you the table, and we'll crack on, shall we? One thing I'd forgotten to mention last time was that I actually named the Japanese leaders, the two of them. The lieutenant was Lieutenant Ozawa Taijigi, and the 2IC, was his Sergeant Kitagawa Kazuhiro. However, this time, as we've got a new unit, a new platoon in, we've got Lieutenant Noda Takore and his Sergeant Yahiro Naobori. We have back to the full strength platoon, so we've got the 3 sections, rifle sections with an LMG team as part of that. So again, quite large sections there. They're what, 14 men each. We've also got as we've said, the lieutenant and his sergeant here. We have the little section of mortars, 3 knee mortars with 4 crew each, and their junior leader. And then we also, of their support options, the Japanese have gone for a 3-man engineer squad and a Type 95 Hago tank, just to try to push through that Australian defence line. That's their punch in this particular game. So let's have a look at the Australians and see what they've got. Well, in the last game, the Australians, who are currently commanded and were commanded by Lieutenant Herbert Asquith, he is here, and his Sergeant Bluey Thompson. These 2 men command this platoon of 3 sections of riflemen and LMGs with the Bren guns there. They also have a 2-inch mortar and a boys anti-tank rifle. For their support options, they've added another boys anti-tank rifle, knowing that there's Japanese armour in the area and it's possibly coming down, and a 2-pounder anti-tank gun as well, which hopefully should be enough to knock out the Type 95. You'll notice that they are down a section. The reason for that is because they took a section last turn as an extra element for support, so that has now disappeared because that's been taken out of the line and fed back to the troops behind, and they've sent forward the 2-pounder gun. They've also, unfortunately, they've lost a few men as well from the sections previously. So they've lost, I think, 1 man from each of these sections, 2 men from this section. So that was 4 in total. The Australians don't get any reserves or any replacements till at least the next scenario. I think it's scenario 3. So they are currently still under strength. And even more under strength because they've lost that section, but they do have at least some hitting power against that tank in case they need it. So let's see if they are able to defend in this particular scenario, and I'll show you the board now. So we've got our board, same again, same area. We've got the narrow defile running with the single track line running all the way down the centre of the table. If you remember, this is where the Japanese were hammered last time because the Australians got in behind the hill and were able to shoot as the Japanese attacked. However, this time the Japanese have actually been able to push forward a bit further than they were last time, and they've got right up to behind the hill, so that's pretty good going. They've also got this cover here behind this hill as well, so again they're quite far forward. The Australians, on the other hand, if I just come around this side, weren't as fortunate in their patrol phase, and they've got one jumping off point on the edge of the table here. They've got one in this little clump of trees, so they're a good 10 inch behind where they started, because they had two. Their previous jumping off points were here, but they have also managed to push a little bit further forward into the jungle on their right flank over here, so they've got a jumping off point in this jungle area here. So just to give you an idea of where that is, that's relatively close to the Japanese ones over there. The Japanese do have that extra 3 inches of deployment for their jumping off zones, so they are already further forward, and they're going to hopefully get the jump on the Australians and maybe close down a couple of these jumping off points straight away. So we'll just see how they get on. We'll crack on with the game, and we'll make a start. So I did the force morale for both of the units. The Japanese are on 10, so they're actually, I think they're better than they were previously, I can't remember. But the Australians have now sunk down to 8, unfortunately. Obviously, they've got tired from the last round of fighting. But let's see the Japanese start. Let's see what they get. Obviously, they're hoping for a team so they can bring on their tank at least, or their junior leader. But let's just see what we get. Okay, so here we have got 2 1s, a 2, and 2 4s. So that's sections, and or can be combined into junior leaders. Okay, right, we'll get some stuff on the table and see what happens. So Japanese opening move basically saw them bring on 2 sections and their sergeant, their senior leader, second senior leader. They are pushing forward. I was going to bring on the tank with one of the team roles, but I decided to combine it into 2 sections and get them onto the table as quickly as possible, so that they could advance onto this jumping off point for the Australians and that jumping off point for the Australians as well. That's what they're planning on doing, and that's what they're hoping to do in the next couple of turns. So let's see what the Australians do in response. So for the Australians, they have got a 6 on its own, will do nothing. So 1 chain of command point, which is of course useful. They have 2 junior leaders and a section. So actually that's quite good. That can bring on all of their sections. So that's quite good. Okay, the Australians have used, they basically broke it into 2 junior leaders and a section. One of the junior leaders came on with the 2-pounder anti-tank gun. They're here and they've gone to Overwatch, so they're now watching down that road for the tank. One of the junior leaders came on and will open fire on the Japanese down here as they're advancing around the side of the defile, and then the other junior leader, or section, sorry, came on down over here, and they will be firing at the Japanese as they're advancing around the other side of that defile. So they've at least tried to block off the Japanese advance immediately, but let's see what their firing does. I'll go through both of these one at a time. So the first bit of firing is from this Australian section, firing at the Japanese over there. They're not in cover, they're in the open, but they are firing out through the jungle. So that is going to give them, I'm going to give that light cover because they're actually firing out of the jungle rather than into it or anything. So they actually need, for that, they need 4, 5, 6s to hit anyway for the rifles and the LMG, and then they've also got their submachine gun, which we'll do a second. So we'll see how many hits we get first of all. So we're looking for 4, 5s and 6s here, and there are only 2 of them. And we also have the SMG, the Thompson. They can re-roll up to 1 of these dice. So let's have a look. This is them 5s and 6s, so that's 1 other hit, and then they also get to roll it again. So that's a miss. So it's only 3 hits on the Japanese. I'm going to say they're in light cover. So a 4 or a 5 is a shock, a 6 is a kill. So we're on 2 shock, and that's all the Japanese take. They are unable to fire back, but they've taken some shock. So in this case, similar situation, 4, 5, 6s to hit for the Australians against the Japanese here. But they are actually in the open this time. So we'll get rid of all our misses. So there we go, that's quite a few more hits, that's 6 hits. Plus then we also get the SMG as well. That again can re-roll if it needs to. This is 5s and 6s. So it's missed both of them, so it re-rolls again. For 1, no, that's missed. So that's 6 hits in the open. This time it's 5s and 6s are kills, 3, 4 are shock. So that's 4 shock on the Japanese there. So still no kills, but they are giving them a bit of damage. So with things hotting up straight away, the Japanese are going to need some good rolls in this one. Let's see what they get. Okay, actually that's a pretty good spread. So we've got 2 2s, a 3 and 2 4s. So that's 2 sections, junior leader and 2 senior leaders. That means they could bring probably most of their stuff on already. So let's have a see what they do with those rolls. So the Japanese have used their junior leader to bring on the tank. That is going to take a pot shot at the 2-pounder gun as it appears, which will obviously fire back with its overwatch. We've got a section here. It's not going to move, but it's going to fire at the British with full strength at them. And then over here I've brought on another section with the other section dice. They've appeared here. They will then fire at the Australians at the base of the hill, and I've given the junior leader to the sergeant over there. Sorry, the senior leader to the sergeant. He will wait to see what happens after the firing has occurred over here, and potentially send those into attack, close assault. But he will also reduce their shock as well if he does that. So that is all dependent on what happens with the firing. So let's get on with the tank. So the tank is firing its 3 dice, 3 HE dice, basically in close range. So we're looking at 4, 5s and 6s to hit on these. So that's 3 hits on the anti-tank gun, and that will then take, they're basically in the open, so 5, 6 is a kill. So that's 1 kill and 1 shock on that AT gun. However, it does fire back. So returning fire, the anti-tank gun is going to need a 5 or above to hit because the tank is in the open. That's a 3, so that's a miss. So pitiful start straight away. So we've got this section firing at the Australians here. Normally they would reduce their fire by 1 because of their 2 shock, but the Japanese can ignore 2 shock, up to 2 shock, because of their national characteristics in this particular campaign. So they can ignore that and crack on as usual. So this is all their dice. This is an LMG and 9 rifles firing. They need 4, 5, 6s to hit, but they are in hard cover. So what are we on? And take a few of those out. And that's 3, 6, 8 hits. So let's see how many of those actually kill. 6 is to kill, 5 is shock because of the hard cover. Oh, that's not great for the Australians. So that's 2 kills and 2 shock. So we'll get that shock on there while I remember, and 2 kills. So that's 1 automatically on their LMG team. So that's actually, we split that. We split the shock between the team and the section. So 1 shock each, and 1 kill on both the section and on the LMG team. So that means the LMG is now firing on 4 dice instead of the normal 6. And on this portion of the table, as I say, we've got this section who's just appeared. They're going to fire down, and then I'll make a decision on what to do with these ones over here, whether they'll fire or assault as soon as these are finished. So let's have a look. Firing in the open, short range, 4, 5, 6s to hit. So that's going to be quite a lot of hits right there. Yeah, that's how many we're talking there? 9 hits, and these are in the open. So this is 5s and 6s the kills here. Oh, this is not going to be nice, is it? Let's have a look at that. That's a lot of kills already. So that's 4 kills, 1 shock. Sorry, 3 shock, in fact. So I'll get that on there. So that's given them 3 shock straight off. And we've got 4 kills, so that's the LMG team is gone, as are 2 of the other rifle guys. So I'll just get those sorted out and we'll have a think about what we're going to do with the other ones. Okay, so first of all, for the Australians here, they need to do a team wiped out on the bad things happen table. So 1 or 2, there's no effect. 3 or above, they get 1 point off their force morale. 2, that's no effect. So that's saved them at least. But then the other Japanese team, the leader, junior leader, senior leader, second in command, has reduced their shock down to 2, so now they're unaffected by shock because of the Japanese national characteristic, and they are firing. I was going to think about charging them in to attack because they easily overwhelm the Australians there, but I think probably better off just firing at them, to be honest, at this point. So let's have a look. Oh, one thing I forgot to do actually was to roll to see if the Australian junior leader had been hit. 1 to 4, and he was. Yes, he was actually hit as part of that. So let me just check to see if he's wounded. 6, he is wounded, so that's another roll on the bad things happen table. Wounded, so let me take that back off there. However, let's have a roll on that bad things happen. For a junior leader being wounded. A 1, no effect. So at least they got through it, but he's taken 1 hit on his level of initiative. So we've got the Japanese LMG and 9 rifles firing at them again. 4, 5, 6 is a hit, and they're still in the open, obviously. So let's have a look. 1, 2. Not as many hits this time round. And so that's 6 hits, and same again, 5, 6 are kills. So that's 2 more kills and 2 more shock. Let me just pump that shock up on them. So they're now on 4. This team was on 2 before because the other shock went onto the LMG team before they disappeared. So we've got 2 more kills. So let's see again if the junior leader is one of those. 1 or 2, and he is. Re-roll that so you can actually see it. 5, no, he's not. So 2 more kills in there. They are now, their shock is now higher than their number of units, figures in there. So they're 4 on 4. So they're actually pinned. So that's almost wiped that unit out straight away from the Japanese. Wow, that was pretty heavy going. Right, let's see if the Australians can do something to pull this back. Already they're getting battered. So 6 does nothing. 5 is a chain of command point, so that's 2 now. And they have a section, junior leader, and a senior leader. So we'll wonder what they can do with those. So the Japanese used a section to move these guys as far back as they could. They've actually only moved 1 inch. Because they're so shocked, but they did get away a little bit. The junior leader, senior leader has appeared, Sergeant. He's appeared, he's reduced shock on the anti-tank gun, and that is now firing at the tank again, the Type 95. So it needs a 5 or above to hit. Let's have a look. So that's 9, that is a hit. It then rolls its strike dice, 5 strike dice. It needs 5s and 6s because it's firing at the front of the tank. So that's 3 hits. The tank rolls its armour and it needs 5s and 6s to save. So that's 1 save and 1 not hit, one not save. So that is 2 net hits on the tank. We re-roll again. We get a 2. 2 is 2 shock and the gunner is killed. It takes 2 activations in subsequent phases to allow another crew member to take over. And then over here we've got our Australian section. The junior leader has reduced shock down to 1, and then they're all firing at the Japanese section again in front of them. So we need 4, 5, 6s to hit. Again, that's not a great number of hits. That's only 4 hits, and they're rolling. They're in the open. Actually, no, they're in light cover. We said, didn't we? Because they're firing out of the jungle. So 6 is a kill, 4, 5 shock. So 1 kill and 2 shock. So put the shock on there. So that's now put a 4 and 1 kill. See if that's their junior leader. And a 1 it is. No, it isn't. So it's just one of the rifles. So we'll take that guy off there. Right, Japanese again. Let's see what they can do, how much more damage they can inflict this turn. Let's have a look. So we've got 6, nothing on its own. 2 seniors, a 2 and a 3. That's not a great spread, not for what they need. But let's, I'm sure they can do something with it. Right, what the Japanese have done here is they brought out their senior leader, their actual commander, their lieutenant, which means it's going to be more difficult to bring on the remaining units from the platoon. But at this point, I needed him to get on to get these guys to fire at these Australians here. So that's what he's done. He's come out, he's reduced their shock, and then he's also commanding them to fire, because he can command stuff but he can't get anyone to move. They've also used a junior leader to activate the tank and get somebody into that gunner position. So the tank has done nothing, but at least they're now armed again. And I've given the senior leader over to the other senior leader, who I will show you what they're going to do in a second. But first of all, let's fire with these. 4, 5, 6s are hits. And let's see how many that is. These Australians are in heavy cover again. So, but that's still 3, 6, 8 hits. So we're looking at 6 as kills, 5 is shock in this case. So what have we got? 3 shock, no kills. So that's, it'll be 2 on these and then 1 on the LMG team. So in this case we've got the LMG and rifles. The senior commander is reducing shock first of all from these down by 2. So that will reduce from 4. They've gone down to 2. So that doesn't affect them. However, these guys are not shocked, and he's using these to fire down onto the Australians first of all, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with the other ones afterwards. So let's just see what happens with this firing. So 4, 5s and 6s to hit. 1, 2. I'm going to take out all the hits this time. And there's a good few of those. So they're all misses. That's 5 misses. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hits spread amongst 4 men down there. So let's just see what happens. 5s and 6s are kills. So that has actually killed every single one of them. So yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits. 3 shock, not that they need it. So that's wiped out that team. So that is not only a section wiped out, but a junior leader is killed as well, because the least, well, let's roll 2 or a 3 and he survives. No, he is killed as well. So we've got a junior leader killed and a section wiped out. So let's roll through these and see what happens to the Australians. So we've got section wiped out, 1 to 3 minus 1. So that's minus 1 on their force morale straight away, so they're down to 7. And then a junior leader killed. 1 to 3 is minus 1, 4 to 6 is minus 2. So that's another minus 1. So they're now down on 6 on their force morale. So as I say, that's basically taken that section out completely. Destroyed them. So I think with those now, they will move at the double towards that jumping off point to try and close it down, and just to see if they can do what they basically just to stop the Australians and also to give them more morale issues. So the first dice is going to be a -1 because they're in that cover, so they can't get out of it. Second dice -1 again, so 3 inches. I think they'll get a bit further forward. They were going to use 3 dice to move anyway, so they are heading up. Well, actually it's 2 inches because they've also got shock as well, so they haven't got that far forward. And then their final dice with a -3 still because they're still stuck in that grass. So another 2 inch. So slowly catchy monkey, but they'll get there. Right, well the Australians are taking an absolute pasting at the moment, so let's see if this turn helps them out any. Well, we got 2 6s, they retain the phase at least. Another chain of command point, so that's now up to 3. A senior commander and a section. That's not great, but they might be able to do something with either of these. Okay, the Australians haven't got a great deal they can do, but they're firing with this section. First of all, at the Japanese over here, with some reduced dice because of their the shock, but they're looking for 4 5s and 6s, of which there are 5. So let's see how many kills we get out of that. We said these are in light cover. 6 kills, 4 5 is shock. So let's have a look. That's 2 kills, no shock. There is a junior leader and a senior leader in here, so let's see if either of those. So the junior leader, 1 or a 2, no. Senior leader, no. So it's 2 rifle guys. So 1 and 2, and then we have the senior commander, the sergeant Bluey, is getting the 2-pounder again to fire at this tank. So 5+ to hit, so that is a hit. We need 5s and 6s on the 5 strike dice, so that's 1 hit. The tank has an armour of 2, that needs 5s and 6s. 6, so that's 0 net hits or equal net hits. We roll again. A 3, halt and engage fire in the next round, in the next phase. So basically they just stop where they are. The Australians have still got the phase, so let's see what they get this time. 6 does nothing alone. Another chain of command point, so that's 4 now. And they've got 2 1s, which are teams, and a 3, which is a junior leader. That's not too bad. They can get the 2-pounder gun firing again, so let's just see what they do with those though. So the junior leader is reducing shock and then getting them to fire with himself as well. Same again, 4 5 6 to hit, and then 6s are kills. So let's get rid of all our misses. We have then 2 4 6 hits in the Japanese. Let's see what happens with them. That is 2 kills and 2 shocks. So I'll put that shock on, so that's up to 3. And again, we've still got those leaders in there, so let's just see if they're actually affected. So first of all, junior leader, yes, he's one of them, and the second hit is not on the senior leader. So it's a junior leader and a normal rifleman. So that's going to be 3 casualties, so I'll just take that base off completely. And let's just see what happens to that junior leader. And he's killed outright. So that is a roll on the bad things happen table. And a junior leader killed. 1 to 3, it's -1 point. 4 to 6, it's -2 on their morale. So that's -2 on the Japanese morale. So that's dropped them down to 8. Okay, so we've also brought on a boys anti-tank rifle, and the 2-pounder as well is also going to fire. So that's the 2 teams that we rolled. They're firing at the tank. So the boys is hitting on a 5 or above. That's a hit. That rolls 3 dice, and that's 2 hits on its strike. The tank rolls 2 dice to defend, 5s and 6s, so it's defended 1, but it's taken 1 hit. Is we roll again, see what happens. A 2, 1 shock. The gunner panics and may not be activated in the next phase. So that's the guy that's just got in there. Anyway, it's not going very well for this tank. So that's now on 3 shock. So this tank has now taken 3 shock, so that means it can't actually advance any further until it reduces that shock. Any more than that and it's going to get abandoned, and we've now just got the anti-tank gun to fire, 5 or 6. Oh no, that's a 4, so that's a miss. So they got away with that one just. Well, for the Japanese initial success, and success it was, the attack has been slightly blunted a bit. But let's see what they get in their roll. We have got a 6 does nothing, and then quite a spread. 1, 1, 1, and a 3. So actually could do quite a lot with that anyway. So I'll work it out and get those things on the table. Alright, in this turn the Japanese didn't do a great deal. They used a junior leader to reduce the shock on that unit and also move them a bit further forward to the jumping off point. They're still not in possession of it yet, and they also just reduced all the shock on the Hago tank. So that's basically them done. There's nothing else they can do at the moment, so it's back over to the Australians. Right, the Australians for their turn, 6, get that out. They've got 3 junior leaders and a team. That's a reasonably good spread. We'll see what they can do. Right, so the first Australian junior leader has reduced shock over here, and then he's also directing his team to fire. He only gets to use 1 of his dice, so we roll those dice. 4, 5, 6 is a hit again, and that's 5 hits on these Japanese. So we'll see what happens with them. 6 is kills, and that's nothing. They're in light cover, so no effect. So they've got off pretty lightly there. So over this way we've got some more firing. We've got the team of the boys anti-tank rifle is firing at the tank, and then we've also got the anti-tank gun firing at the tank, and then we've also brought on another section, and they're going to be firing at the Japanese there in the open, hopefully to halt them getting anywhere near that jumping off point. Right, so we'll start with the boys anti-tank rifle. Needs a 5 to hit. That has hit. It's rolling 3 strike dice. That's only 1 hit. The tank is defending on 5 and a 6. That's 1 hit, and we'll see what happens to it. So 4 is it halts and engages the fire in the next phase, so it has to fire at the boys gun. And the 2-pounder, that has also hit, so that is rolling 5 dice to see for its strike. So we've got only 1 hit there. The tank is rolling 2 dice to defend against that. 5s and 6s again, no defence, but that's 1 net hit. So we have 6, 2 shock, so it's gone right back up again. And then over here we have 4 rifles. There's no SMGs in there, and also the box-fed LMG, along with the 2 shots from their junior leader. So these are 4, 5s and 6s. Japanese are in the open, so that's not a great many hits. Actually, that's 5 hits on the Japanese. See what it does to them. That is 3 shock, which right now they can deal with. So again, despite the initial successes, the Japanese are a bit bogged down at the moment, but let's see what we can do with them this turn. Oh, that is very good. That's exactly what they need. So that's 3 junior leaders and a team, so they could actually do quite a lot with that. Right, the Japanese, they have given junior leader to their tank. It is reducing shock by 2 points, and then it is going to fire its single shot at the boys anti-tank team, because they were the ones that forced it to engage. So let's see what happens. They are in the open at close range, so we're talking 4, 5s and 6s to hit. That's 1 hit. in the open. 5 or 6 is a kill. So no, that's nothing. They've got through that. And okay, over here, they've given their senior leader here, he's going to command these 2 units. First one is basically going to fire at those guys. They are they are in cover, in hard cover, but these guys are all firing at them. 4, 5s and 6s are hits, so that's a lot of hits again. Just see, yeah, that's 8 hits, 6 is kills, 5 is shock. Let's see what happens. So that's 1 kill and no shock. Let's just see if it's on their junior leader. A 1 it is. No, it isn't, so it's just one of the rifles. So that's no real effect. We also have the other section up on the top of the hill as well. So they are also going to fire down at the same. So they've got 3, 6, 9 rifles plus their LMG. So same again, and it's all in the same range. So it's 4, 5s and 6s to hit as well. So that's a 5, that's a hit. So we've got 1, 2, 3. See how many misses. Again, a lot of hits there. So that's 7 hits. Same again, 6s kills. So what we got? Nothing. That's 3 shock though. So before the Australians have rolled their dice, they've decided that they're going to withdraw from the table because they are taking so many hits at the moment. There's too much going on here. They are not within, they're just out of 6 inches of these Japanese here, and the same with this section over here is just over 6 inches away from the Japanese. They can all trace an unbroken line to their closest jumping off point, so they're actually just going to disappear off the table, because if they stood any longer they would take so many casualties that they just wouldn't be able to fight in the next turn. So that's ending this game. A pretty short one, but very blunt. Japanese absolute victory. Really wiped them out completely there. They slightly blunted the attack a little bit in a couple of pockets, but they were certainly, you know, they were on top of the game all the way through. Another great game, really. I'll be playing the 3rd scenario of this. This is where the Australians will be able to get some of their reinforcements. I'll work out what's happened after with the casualties and things, and then from there we'll see what they get for the next game. But I hope you've enjoyed this one. Tune in at some point in the future for another game of the Malaya campaign in 1942 with another chain of command game, and let's see if the Australians can hold that position at least.